Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm out on another solo hot tent trip. We've got a load of new fresh snow. So this snow came in last night and it's actually predicting to snow again tonight. It's a little bit of flurries right now. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up, but very, very small flurries right now. So bring you guys up to speed. I've got the tent completely set up. I am running a half mesh inner today. So I do have my sleeping pad, my sleeping bag all inside of the mesh inner. On this side of the tent, I've got my little canvas bag that I like to keep my cooking kit in. I've got my backpack stored away over here. And then on the other side, of course, I went ahead and shoveled out a bit of the ground just to put the stove on solid ground. Now, I know a lot of people are probably asking, you brought a shovel, why didn't you shovel out the whole area? Well, the problem is this spot has a lot of lumps and bumps. And having the snow there actually will flatten that out. So once I crawl inside of there later on tonight when I'm all out of my wet clothing, when I lay down on top of my sleeping pad, I'm gonna kind of press down with my body and create a little divot in the snow. And then I'm not gonna be rolling around or have my hips or head or shoulders uncomfortable on some of these bumps that are actually on the ground underneath the snow. So I didn't want to bother with that, but I did want to shovel out right where the stove's gonna be so it's not all wonky and tipsy and turvy. So I do have all that set up. I've got my saw, and you know what time it is. It is time to go collect some firewood before it gets dark because it is going to get cold tonight, and I want to have that stove rocking so I can do my coffee, my food, and everything right here from inside of the tent with the door open. So let's go get some firewood. Alright guys, I got all the firewood for the inside fire for the wood stove all prepped and ready to go. I also got a bunch of twigs and birch bark inside of the tent, so I'm going to save that for a little later on. But right now, I think what I'm going to do is prep this outside fire pit area because it is completely covered in snow. There's some unburned pieces of wood that someone left in the pit, so we got to straighten out these rocks, get all that stuff out of there, and then I've got a big pocket full of birch bark. I'm going to set that in there with some of these twigs and some of this firewood that I left out here for the outside fire. And hopefully we can get this going and have a nice cozy outside fire because I'm drenched. I would like to sit next to it and try and dry out as much as possible. And then later on tonight I'll be able to hang these up in top of the tent and get basically the heat from the stove will hopefully dry them out. So I'm going to get this area cleaned up, get this fire going, and then I need a coffee really bad. So let's get this fire going. Okay guys, coffee's made, and some of you are probably wondering why did I do my coffee that way, because regular viewers, you guys know I do my coffee a very specific way. And that way didn't happen today because I forgot my coffee filter at home. Now I do have my little mocha pot. I believe I put it back inside of the tent. I do have my little mocha pot for in the morning, so I'm going to put that on top of my wood stove and make my coffee that way. And because I brought that for in the morning, I forgot to pack my coffee filter for the daytime because I don't want to light the stove inside of the tent now, burn up all that wood. I'd much rather burn this wood, sit out here, and then later on tonight when it gets dark, I can go inside the tent, light that, and then carry on my night inside the tent. So what I did is I used my pot. I'm going to be very careful not to slosh this, and I made Cowboy Coffee. So if you guys are not familiar with Cowboy Coffee, it's literally hot water, boiled water, and then add your coffee grounds and leave it in there for quite some time to kind of get a rolling boil to roll the coffee. Now I never boil my coffee because it ruins the flavor of the coffee. With this method, it's kind of necessary. So I boiled it for about a minute, stirred it, took it off right away, and then put a little dash of cold water on top. And that cold water helps both break the surface tension and it forces the coffee grounds down to the bottom. And then when you go and pour it, you pour it very gently, and all the coffee grounds will stay on the bottom of the pot, and you get a nice hot cup of ground-free coffee. So that's what I've got right now. A little bit more effort put into it and a little bit more time, but it's still a good cup of coffee. Alright, so I think what the plan is for the next hour is I'm going to relax. I'm going to sit right here in front of this fire and dry out my clothing because my overalls, they're rolling steam right now, but they are completely soaked. My overalls, my pants, my socks, my boots, everything's soaked and my feet are starting to freeze. So I'm going to sit right here just like I am for the next hour, enjoy some of this warmth. I do have a little bit more coffee. I'm just waiting for the grounds to kind of sink down to the bottom again because it did get sloshed around a bit. But I'm going to enjoy the rest of my coffee, dry out, and then by that point, it should be almost evening time. So I want to get my food cooked over the fire quickly before dark. And then I'm probably going to chill out here for a little bit until all this fire burns out or all the wood burns out. And then I'm going to head up to the tent and I'm going to get that stove going and get that nice and hot. And that is going to be enjoyable. Once I can get out of all these wet clothes later on tonight, get changed into my new clothes, it's going to be nice. All right, that is probably the best feeling ever when you're out hot tenting and you're wet and you're dirty and cold during the day, and then you crawl inside of the tent and you get your fresh clothing on. You're nice, you're warm, you're dry. Make some coffee in there, make some snacks, whatever. Good night's sleep. Best feeling ever. So that's the plan. I want to sit here, get dry, and then I'll bring you guys back as soon as I start cooking. All right, guys, supper is ready, and I got the fire going really, really good again. So over that little hour, I think it was like an hour and a half actually, where I was drying out, I got completely dry, and then I actually went back into the woods to go cut more firewood because I just wasn't happy with the amount that I had inside of the tent. So I am wet again. So I do need to dry out again, but I did get more wood inside of the tent, so I'm a little bit more happier with that. Supper. Let me explain what I've got here. So I've got a pot of really, really spicy Samyang ramen noodles. These are awesome, by the way. If you guys see these, buy them. They are super good. So I took 3 mushrooms, I quartered them, dropped it in there, and then the ramen. That's it. And some garlic naan bread. So I can dip it in there like a soup. Oh. Very, very spicy. I love spicy food. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody who thinks they like spicy food and then they realize that they don't like spicy food. I will say that. So they are quite hot, but I love it. So I'm going to relax, eat my dinner here. Try one of these mushroom stems. Oh yeah. Look at that, red hot. Red fiery hot. Oh yeah, that warms you up on a winter day, I'm telling you. Very, very spicy, very good too. So, I'm going to enjoy this with my garlic naan bread, and I'll bring you guys back as soon as I'm done. Alright guys, supper time is all done. Those noodles were awesome, and I've cleaned up my area down there. Come up to the tent just for a few minutes to do 2 things. One is I loaded this wax canvas bag full of wood that is already split down and ready to go. I've also got my fire steel on the side of it, and it's loaded full of birch bark. So this is kind of my emergency fire lighting kit. If the stove goes out for any reason and I need it lit right away, I've got wood to do that. Set that off to the side and leave it for morning, basically. Second thing, yes, I got the stove going. It is burning quite nice right now, getting very warm in here. I'm going to load a piece of hardwood on there, and then I'm going to damp it down and let it smolder, because I'm not coming into the tent yet. I'm actually going to be down at the outside fire pit. But I wanted to get this going now, so when I come up here in the dark, it's already ready to go. And as you can notice, the tent is already getting very, very warm, and all the snow and stuff is kind of melting off of it. So if it does pick up with snow, the tent will already be hot. It'll just kind of melt all off. go down to the ground and I won't have to worry about it. So that's what's going on up here. I'm going to leave the door open for now actually. I was going to close it, but I think I'm just going to leave it open and I'm going to head back down to the outdoor fire pit. All right, here comes the snow, guys. Really, really fine snow. Looking out over the lake, the trees in the distance are almost completely invisible. I think it's going to snow a fair bit if it keeps doing this. I mean, it looks like it's coming down pretty good. So I think I'm going to be chilling out here for quite a while again. I really want to get dry. I am wet, wet, wet. And I don't want to bring all this stuff inside of the tent. So I'm going to chill out here for a little while. And basically, I got my view. I got my view. I got to say, I got it. I wanted the fire, and I wanted the lake and a little bit of snow, and I got it. So this is pretty awesome. So I'm going to enjoy this for a little while. Just relax and just listen to the fire and watch the snow fall. And then it's going to be head up to the tent and basically stoke up the stove, crawl in, and call it a night. Okay guys, it is nightfall and it is snowing. I finally got the snow, so here it comes. It's fine, but it is picking up. So I'm going to get these doors shut and basically bring everything inside of the tent. Get out of these clothes because they are still wet, and then I'm just going to jump inside, get the stove cranked up nice and hot, and enjoy the night. I will catch you guys in the morning time. Good morning, everybody. It is another beautiful morning out here winter camping, and I gotta say, last night I had the perfect night's sleep. Now this morning when I woke up to freezing rain hitting the side of the tent. Beautiful sound, don't get me wrong, but I was a little worried that it was going to turn into rain. And slowly I could feel that it is actually turning into liquid rain. So I've got to get stuff packed up. Now I've already had my coffee and my oatmeal, so I've already done breakfast routine. And I'm just waiting for this wood stove now to kind of burn out so I can take the pipe off and get the stove out of the tent and get it disassembled and kind of packed away. I don't want to be stuck in rain is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to actually have that open up into liquid rain and then we have to hike through the snow in the forest being wet, and it's just not fun. So I'm going to slowly start packing up now, get everything out of the tent, get it into the pack, and kind of get everything organized. Alright guys, I've got the wood stove out and that is cooling down right now. One thing that I did have to do, I did have to clean the chimney pipe. So you'll see me when I was scraping the pipe with my leather glove here. It's really simple, just the fingers basically just scrape the inside of the pipe. Now the reason why I had to do that this trip specifically is because I actually burned a lot of spruce and pine, and that is a lot of resin in that wood, and I really don't like doing it. But given that I don't really have a lot of hardwood in the area, I was kind of left with no other choice but to burn softwood. That fouls the pipe and the arrestor and the stove quite a bit more than burning hardwood. So if I would burn hardwood all night last night, I definitely would not have to clean that. So just something to kind of keep in mind if you're burning hardwood or softwood. Pines and spruces have a lot of resin. They will clog up the pipe. So it doesn't happen within the first 2 feet because it's too hot, but where titanium actually dissipates heat quite quickly, the farther you go up the pipe, the colder it gets, and it'll actually start to crystallize and form that creosote. So I did scrape all that out. That's cleaned out. And now I'm just I'm undoing the bottom portion of my pack because this is a separated pack. And I'm essentially going to turn it into one giant long pack, so then the bottom's not separated where your sleeping bag would normally go. And because I'm going to do my classic pack up, and that's just cram everything in the backpack. So I do this very, very often, and you guys that are regulars to the channel, you know I do this very often. When it's time to pack up and go home, there's no point in being orderly about it, for me anyways. I just put it in there, deal with it when I get home. Now, if I was staying a second night, obviously, if I was moving locations and I was staying a second night, I would take my time and I would pack it in there nice and neatly, move to the second location, and then set up again. But like I said, this is just a quick one night out in the woods and then a hike back. So I'm just going to cram it all in here. No organization whatsoever. My hard items, so my stove will go in last today because it is still a little warm. So I'm going to pack that down, slip it in there, done with that. The tent will be the last thing. I'm going to ball it up inside out because it is quite wet. I'm going to try and get most of the snow off, but I'm going to ball it up inside out, cram it in there, sleeping bag, stove, everything, sleeping pad, everything's going in there in a big ball. So when I get home, I got to take it all out, hang it up, and then dry it. So that's what I'm going to do. Just get everything crammed in here and ready for the trail. Alright guys, everything is packed up and inside of the pack. This pack up was a little bit challenging, I will say that. Everything went in there perfectly fine. Everything fit, that wasn't the issue. The issue was the whole tent was covered in ice. So when I took it down, I actually had to start breaking up all the chunks of ice with my hands all along the bottom of the skirt of the tent because all that freezing rain that happened last night and early this morning, and then the heat cycle of the stove and the cool cycle and all that. So everything was completely covered in ice. So I did take a fair bit of time breaking off all the ice around the tent off of the fabric to get it inside of the pack. Everything's in there now. And I should mention, I don't have my saw or my shovel on the outside of my pack. And the reason why I do this is because when I'm hiking through this forest, all of those branches want to grab you. They want to grab your arms. They want to grab the straps and everything out of your pack. And where there's a lot of snow on the ground, it's very easy for something to come dislodged from your pack and actually hit the ground, and you not even hear it because it'll land in the snow and it'll be completely silent, and then it's hard to find. So even if you do hear it, like let's say if I had something small on the outside and it came off, there's no way I'm going to find it. Now if I had something large and hit the ground like my shovel, I might hear it, but chances are I'm probably not going to hear it. So I don't like losing gear, and that's the reason why I don't like carrying things on the outside of my pack. If I can get everything inside, I will always put everything inside. So that's what I did this morning. Got everything inside of the pack. Like I said, it wasn't fun, but it did fit. And it is now time to get out of here. So I've done a once over of the area. I've got all my tent pegs. The fire was put out. All the ashes are in the snow, so that's all good. Everything is here, and I'm pretty happy with how everything went. So I had a really great time last night with the food over by the lake, enjoying the scenery there with a little bit of snow. Coming inside of the tent, nice and warm. Waking up this morning, a little bit of freezing rain. Again, coffee and breakfast out right in front of the lake. Excellent time. So if you guys have any questions or comments, drop it down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to get back to you. And thank you guys very much for coming along again on this adventure. It is now time to get this pack on, the camera put away, and I've got to hit the trail. And it's going to be a really, really nasty hike out. So, peace out, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.